The home of yet another former Trump administration official was raided by the FBI, to borrow the phrase, of course, from the Trump folks. It's not a raid, it's the execution of a search warrant, but it's a lot easier to say raid. But this individual happens to be a high-ranking DOJ official, or at least was during the Trump administration, a man by the name of Jeffrey Clark. And he actually had his home searched, not recently, but all the way back in June, where the FBI took at least 3 electronic devices from Jeffrey Clark's home. And now this week, we learned why that raid happened. For a lot of people, we learned that the raid happened, but also why. Because as it turns out, Mr. Clark, who was at the center of Donald Trump's attempts to overturn the results of the 2020 election, is being investigated for conspiracy, obstruction, and making false statements. All related, of course, to his work with Donald Trump. And what happened this week was that there was a bar filing, right, with the DC bar. And that's where all of this was revealed. What they're investigating him for, the raid, for those who didn't know that it had happened, all of it came out because the bar had to make a filing. And they had to make a filing because Mr. Clark is facing an ethics investigation by the Washington, D.C. bar, for his work in trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election. And Clark and his legal team had actually asked the D.C. bar, could y'all pump the brakes a little bit on your investigation of me? Because I'm also under investigation by the DOJ. I'm under investigation by the January 6th committee. I'm under investigation by the Fulton County DA down there in Georgia. I just got too many investigations happening right now, and I can't deal with this DC bar crap. So could y'all just, delay all this? And the DC bar not only said, no, we're not, but they made this filing that also showed, by the way, everybody, here's what Jeffrey Clark is kind of being investigated for, in case you didn't know. So Clark's in a lot of trouble. I think that, puts it mildly. But in case anybody is forgetting who Jeffrey Clark is, of course, he was the Department of Justice official who was asking then acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen and another individual, Richard Donoghue, to come out and proclaim that there was just widespread evidence of fraud, even though they didn't have evidence of fraud. And that instead of giving the electors for Biden, they were going to have to go with the fake Trump electors. So Clark, of course, wrote that memo to Donoghue and Rosen. Like, that is known. That's not controversial to say that. He did it. Told them these things. And at one point, Trump was even considering getting rid of Rosen and replacing him with Clark so that Clark would be the acting head of the DOJ, the acting attorney general, and would then overturn the results. And boom, Bob's your uncle, Donald Trump's still the president. Clark's in a hell of a lot of trouble. A hell of a lot. And probably, based on his own admission that, oh my God, I'm under investigation by everybody. Your only way out of this, bud, is to start cooperating. But as a former DOJ official, you know that, right? You know how these things work. First person to squeal is the one who gets the deal. So you might want to start prepping your voice because you got a lot of people to roll on. Otherwise, you're probably going to find yourself being one of the first people thrown in jail if the indictments come down.
This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.